not sure. Well, hey guys, I don't even know if you guys can hear this. Is this the? Okay.
Here's my favorite article. Cutting and pasting over the 10 years and logged all that in. And here's all my journals, whatever, the people out and log all that in. So I can ask you questions based on that.
Right.
And basically learn more about myself.
Right.
You stand on the political spectrum.
Right,
Blah,
right,
blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah, blah. I'd like to. No, that's what I would like to do, which is sort of a glorified Word document, but it still would hold a lot more information than just, oh, can you find this term? I would be asking it, and it would be responding to me on things that I've forgotten along the way. Load it with the information I'd like to load it.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe even like I'm saying in this words of belief, in the man I'm working to be, and the man I want,
Right.
load it with that. Load it with my aspiration.
Well, it
self.
certainly can be done.
And then ask it, and it's giving me answers. Going, oh, this is. But before, it's slowly learning about me through conversations. Then going, oh, I think this is what you like based on a conversation. No, I want the answers based on what I've uploaded.
Yeah.
Not from the outside world.
So after I saw this, I'm glad Matthew kind of like said something like this. This is actually very useful to have such a conversation from a famous celebrity to go viral around why is AI not able to do this, why such a product doesn't exist, and people are rightfully asking those questions. And then I see many people who are saying things like, oh, this is possible through a simple RAG locally that can be running on your machine, or somebody mentioning, oh, this product already exists, it's called Notebook LM. And to all of those people, I'm like, I disagree. Notebook LM is a very different product to what he's asking for, and at the same time, the RAG solution that you're looking for is not a very scalable approach and a solution that is feasible as well. So all of these people, sorry, what he's asking, if you explicitly like break those things down, so if I break those things down, what he is asking here is saying, hey, I want large texts of data that I've collected over the years. Plus new and any type of conversation that I have is stored and used to build new context. So you are now saying that you are not just like using everything that you have already ever written, documented. If you have written like 50 books, God forbid, right? You're indexing all of that information. So now RAG, how does RAG work? So you have your, let's say you have, how does a simple RAG solution work? So you've got your data, let's say it's my data, Sid's data, and then we index all of this data in a vector database. So I index all of this data and I create a vector store that I'm like calling Sid's vector store, vector DB, that could be stored in like a Postgres, like Superbase, and there are many platforms you can do this. Superbase, Google, AWS, locally. There's like locally you can create these embeddings and store them many different places, right? You're creating basically a vector Postgres database on top of it. So now once you've done that, you've now created like a 3D map of all of this information. Now, is this the most efficient way to do this? Probably not. But let's just say we're talking a simple RAG solution right now. This is simple RAG. So this is simple RAG. So now an LLM AI, so let's say ChatGPT is over here, which is an AI that has a client and a API. So this is ChatGPT altogether. Client is the application that you are using. Client is the application, the ChatGPT application you're using, and API is the GPT-5 model, right? So now in this client application, we build a new feature which can like call this RAG database. We are like, hey, we are giving you a new tool. So now these ChatGPT client has client API and tools. Like we'll just go with these three things right now. So ChatGPT is like made up of these three things. These are the three things that make ChatGPT. One of the tools we will give ChatGPT is, let's say, fetch content. That's a tool that we have given. Fetch content from SIDS Vector DB. That's a new tool that we have just like made for ChatGPT. ChatGPT has many different types of tools. There's a new tool that we made for ChatGPT. So now when a user goes on ChatGPT, the application, and the user is like, user sends a query, find me what did I discuss with my dad yesterday. And then let's say all of this data, we have figured out the mechanism of all of my call transcriptions are getting indexed within SIDS data, and then are getting collected by SIDS within SIDS data, and then getting indexed into this RAG database. So when the user sends this query, ChatGPT, the assistant, calls this tool, fetch content. Then this tool is connected to a re-ranker. Sorry, this tool then sends this request to this re-ranker, and this re-ranker is from, let's say, Cohere or some other place. Cohere has a good re-ranker. GKE, Google has a good re-ranker. There are some other open source one. Mnemonic is a good open source one. Mnemonic or something. There are like some good open source re-rankers out there. So then this tool is packaged part of these two tools working together. So these two tools sort of work together, where this tool calls this tool. Let's see if I can figure out how to make a goddamn arrow properly. SIDS tool. So this tool calls this tool. ChatGPT calls this tool calls the re-ranker then sends the query in the vector database. The results are returned. The re-ranker looks at the results based on what has returned appropriately. The re-ranker likes the result, sends that back to the information. The tool sends it back to ChatGPT. And that's how the whole RAG system works. But how much all of this is happening within something called a context window. So let's say we have a context window. Now, I'm sure many people here might not be familiar with context window. Many people here might be familiar with context window. But context window, memory are two very big challenges that are almost the same thing. What do I mean by that? So one of the things, if you look back at this video, over here around this time, what he was saying was,
I'd like to myself. Right, you stand on the political spectrum. I'd like to
yeah, see?
so I can ask you questions based on that.
Right.
And basically learn more about myself. Right.
Myself, right? So now you are saying any conversation that I have with it, it will store that and build new context. So it's building new context to be stored in SIDS Vector DB. So currently this is SIDS data, which is like my options, everything that's happened, that books I've written, articles, things I might like, that's already collected data. New conversations that I'm having with this LLM, that needs to be logged as well. So now that's another software engineering problem where we are now deciding out of every single chat message that I send to ChatGPT, which ones are important for ChatGPT to go out there and index. Like a lot of them are solving for this memory problem, because if you look at Claude just came out with a memory feature recently. So it has a new memory feature now where it stores this extra memory about yourself. It's storing this extra memory about me. Now, similarly, ChatGPT over here can do the same thing and is also doing the same thing. They've been doing this for a while. But what does this mean? So they are like picking and choosing based on any keywords or any specific conversations that you might be having on what needs to get stored in your context window. Now, why is that important? That's for this tool calling ability where, hey, if I ask for a specific question that the API, when sent to GPT-5, the GPT-5 API and model, where the model thinks that, hey, this question requires me to use this tool to call this export SIDS database, then let me call SIDS database. And then I can use this data to give Sid a response about him. But if ChatGPT is the one determining what's to index, then it sort of really comes down to how they have solved this problem and what they think you should be saving. I mean, you can of course go here and edit this and like manage and create new edits to your own memory, but it's still not a solved problem. And why are they doing it this way? Like, why are they like saving memory in this way? Well, there is a big good reason for it. I was actually, if I go back to one of the presentations that I was giving recently, I was giving a simple presentation to some people recently, and it was mainly trying to cover the two main problems that have not been solved in AI right now. So you are sort of stuck with the capability. So you have the GPT-5 model, let's say. Let's pick on GPT-5 for now. So you have the GPT-5 model, and this GPT-5 model comes in, is very capable, is super useful, but it still comes with some capabilities. And when you are using on ChatGPT, that's fine, but when you are like using it for your day-to-day task, as let's say how people are saying AI is going to be your co-worker, it's not a good co-worker because it doesn't learn, it doesn't improve over time. Its weights, the parameters, what it knows, its knowledge, the frozen weights matter. So we don't really have a way to change frozen weights. So now one of the things that he's saying that, hey, I want to solve memory, which is basically him saying, well, he's asking and saying that it should tell me who I am, what my political opinions are. So it's learning who you are. So when it's learning who you are, that means it's storing that data about who you are based on your conversations somewhere, which will be then used just like a human learns a person and then can tell another person. But you store that in your brain and all that stuff. But the way your brain tool calls that information, we don't know that very well. We have like an idea and inclination. But within AI, we know that explicitly very well. That has to be within the 200K token context window. The only reason I pick on the word 200K token context window is because when you are chatting with an LLM, let me see if I can find this for you quickly. So it'll make my life easier. Tool, native tools, Gemini. Maybe it is the native tool ones. Well, where is it? Open source models, challenges, podcasting, prompting 101, QBR, native tools. Week 1, maybe it is training 1. Let's see. Yeah, so this is how LLMs work. This would be helpful context. So live memory is limited, old tokens fall off. What does that mean? So every time you have a conversation within ChatGPT or Claude, you are only given a certain amount of tokens, which is the short-term memory of how much the model can remember before it starts forgetting everything that you've said in the past. And to solve for this, what these companies do is they summarize your previous conversations. And the only reason they have to do this is because, so this is how they are summarizing those conversations. But the only reason they have to do this is because of, if I have that nice visual here, I had a much better visual for myself. Week 1, so we were around here. Week 1, task level MCP. Huh. Maybe I never really ended up like making it. But the only reason we have to do this is because this live context chat window is quite important, because this is the only place where memory or the model really learns something new based on your past chats. The frozen weights don't really change. But in this context window of this 200k tokens, in this chat window where I'm like having this chat, hey, what is the, hey, what are the 3 laws of motion? So now in this one chat window that you're having right now is the only time the model really learns something. Because no other time your interaction with the model, the frozen weights change. Now, so now to solve the memory problem, you have to somehow inject that added context that the model knows about you here. So it has to be elegant enough where you write your system prompt. So you've got memory, you've got context window, you've got prompting. The only reason prompting really matters quite a bit is because what the next tokens are extremely important in in helping you predict what your first tokens were. So every time you ask a question, so conversation history grows exponentially. So yeah, that's also true. So the cost every time the model price increases. This is actually pretty fucking useful. I forgot how useful this is. I made this a while ago to teach internally my co-workers on how LLMs work so they could use it more effectively. But that is my main issue with everybody saying that this is possible. Right now we need to solve many different things. Context windows are limited, so this is a very good benchmark for contextual retrieval. If you look over here we have number of tokens right on the top, and then you've got the models right here, and the percentage is over here represents the quality of their contextual retrieval. So how much new information could I have added in the context window of the model, and then with the amount of information that I've added, if I ask it questions that require it to understand the entire context of everything that I've added to answer that question, how accurately can it answer that question? So if you will see under like 4 to 8k tokens, GPT-5 performs, and GPT-5 is actually phenomenally good in contextual retrieval. O3 was also really good. Claude 4 performs pretty decent till like 4k tokens, but after 4k tokens it really falls off. But Claude 4 Sonnet Thinking performs pretty fucking good until like 60k tokens. And then Gemini 2.5 Pro has a 2 million token context window, but if you will see, even at like after 32 to like it falls off to 80% in its contextual retrieval capabilities. So this is extremely important for you to like know on how much context can we retrieve when we make those tool calls. So I have a meeting notes database. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So let's say I mean, I should not show this in public, I guess. So never mind. But we store these embeddings, and then when you call a re-ranker model to retrieve that information for you. So when you are storing, so why could this not be done in Notebook LM? So now within Notebook LM, they have solved the sources problem. You can attach more sources here, and it will just keep on like adding. So you can like come here and I can like upload files. You can come here, add YouTube links, and once you add, and it's very good for courses, so I might have some courses here with me. So yeah, no introduction to Notebook LM, sure. Or maybe this is my personal account. So this is one document here. I've added that document. You can create overviews, you can create mind maps, you can create reports, video overviews. They've added some like cool new features. But what it doesn't do is like it really learns about me. It doesn't store any memory. So it doesn't have the memory feature. It also doesn't have a system prompt. So the prompt, there is no ability for me to like change any information. So if I ask in this chatbot, what they have built is a very strict RAG bot, more so than a chat AI assistant like ChatGPT or Claude or any of so. There's a big difference. Why? Because if I ask a question within this space, let's say, what are the 3 laws of motion? It will not be able to give me a response, even though this is so simple. Based on the sources provided, the 3 laws of motion are robotics. So this is a big limitation of Notebook LM. It cannot go beyond what is indexed in this sources section. So it's not a proper assistant. And then the way you respond, or the way you get a model to respond for you, really matters a lot. So I can show you one of my agents. So I have a calendar agent that makes and schedules meetings for me from Claude because of using MCP servers. And you can see how explicit I have to be in my prompt, giving it access to all the tools that it should use, giving it how it should go out there and disambiguate people's names and information. There's a lot going on here that you need to like figure out for an agent to work asynchronously in picking and choosing which tools are right for what job. So a few things that make this request not possible right now is memory, context window, prompting, of course, and then also tool calling. Well, not tool calling, but like limitations on who is selecting what to store and index as your memory. Like that is something that we will have to solve through clever software engineering neat tricks if we cannot change the frozen parameters or the frozen weights of the model in real time. So as you are chatting with the AI assistant, so as you are chatting with the model over here in ChatGPT, it's learning about you. The frozen weights are changing for you in real time of the model based on your behavior and chat and conversations. Then we don't have to solve for most of these things because you can change the weights of the model anytime. But currently we've got pre-training, we've got post-training, which involves RLHF, SFT, then you've got a system prompt, then you've got tools, and then you use ChatGPT. Like literally, then there is so much that goes before you get to experience ChatGPT as what it is. So the frozen weights are frozen here. This is where the weights are frozen. Sure, there is RLHF happening here as well. So let's say we do some tweaking here, but not really anywhere else that much. So this makes a big difference in how we solve for a personalized assistant that can remember everything that you've ever written, done, but at the same time can also remember everything that you're talking to it. It's storing those conversations, saving those memories. What to save is extremely hard. How to save it is also extremely hard. How to call for it is extremely hard. How to call for it, well, when I say extremely hard, they're unsolved right now. And there are different ways you can go about solving it. You can increase the context window to like 1 billion tokens, and then you can just feed everything in the context window, and then it's done. Like you sort of solve. You don't need any of the clever mechanisms of RAG. If you can just add anything in the context window, doesn't matter. But if you can see clearly right now, We've not solved context window, even though we have models with 2 million token context window, a million token context window. They all seem to start to fall apart in remembering good context at 120k tokens, at 60k tokens, which is around 50,000 words. So maybe like 3 or 4 Harry Potter books. So, based on all of those reasons, I don't think what Matthew is saying right now, even though there are like hundreds of people, I want a bro casually spilled out a middle order stand up idea. Like, sure, he did build out a private LLM. Someone tell him buy a GPU. I'll set up the whole thing for him for free. All right, sure. I would probably change everything. It wasn't trained slowly and authored content, so creating a base so going to produce same highly unlikely. Understand the way he understands himself. Now, this guy, I don't know the fuck he's talking about because he's just saying that he thinks that what he's asking is just an LLM trained on only his data. That's because of his misunderstanding on what he's asking. What he's asking was an LLM with all the capabilities that I get out of GPT-5 plus on top of my data, which is what he's asking. This won't work because large language models fundamentally, whatever we are getting them to do is through a lot of specialized software engineering techniques like RLHF and SFT. But also at the same time, there is a lot of emergent capabilities that are happening and coming out of us training through large data sets that we don't know why. We're trying to uncover those through mechanistic interpretability, but that's not been solved yet. So this is a dumb take, but it is okay. Private AI, what the fuck, sure. Interesting. Just felt super validated. Was just tuning in and doing some work on the side. Then I realized with Alchemist, interesting. What is Alchemist doing? Let's look at what Alchemist is doing. So he doesn't have his scum. Okay, Alchemist 1. AI accelerate functional foods product innovation with AI. Yeah, so what Alchemist is doing is they've built, they have a vector database which probably has a very good search endpoint. And what they are doing is doing a tool calling to call this vector store to retrieve likely the information around specific key ingredients that are available in the market about food products. So people can just probably search for coffee from Starbucks and get nutrient facts and all of those things in a very safe, concise manner. But this is again a tool call, a vector store, and then you do it. But by the way, simple RAG is what I've explained here. We've got knowledge graphs. We've got contextual retrieval. We've got context engineering. We've got multi-stage software engineering. We've got multi-step context indexing, where you are like indexing where you're creating summaries of indexes as well. There's like a lot that you can do in like making RAG more efficient. You can use like a very good re-ranker. You'll have to build an eval data set. There's a lot that goes to building something which is like a generalized agent. It's very hard. That's why none of them are successful except the ones that are made by big research labs, because we also give them a lot of headway, right? Where was I? I want to still continue my rant on the Joe Rogan stuff. Okay, let's see. Humans are becoming more reliant. Okay, I guess that was it. That's the only take. I low-key thought there were like some more weirder takes that I read around this stuff a few days ago, just because I think people are missing quite a bit of point in how we can solve for such a big use case which requires insurmountable amounts of data about somebody's daily life, in understanding the nuance of what their tonalities are, their talking behavior is. I mean, ChatGPT does a very good job of it, but it's at the end of the day just storing that information in a separate text file, which it is using to retrieve. Like, it is literally storing it in a text file. Like, this is crazy. I know I'm going saying ChatGPT and then going on Claude. I don't want to show you my ChatGPT memories because I don't know what the fuck's on there. But with Claude, it's my work stuff, so I can like somehow show you some of it, which is fine. But that's so interesting that they are storing and solving for memory through like a text file, and then you do a memory tool call to read that file and then answer you questions. So when people say that, hey, ChatGPT knows so much about me, there is some game that is happening from OpenAI's side in when they were doing the RLHF and writing the system prompt for ChatGPT for making you seem like it does. But it doesn't know a lot about you. It knows some stuff about you, but doesn't know a lot about you. And it's currently only going to remember how much on whatever it thinks and it's deeming relevant right now. Like if they really solve the problem where the re-ranker is so good, where they can index everything that is relevant. They're very good at indexing. So they're indexing everything that's phenomenally correct. So they can like chat and they know which are the parts of the chat that you need to summarize and index and save in your memory file that they're creating. And they have like built an amazing good re-ranker or like a retrieval where they can retrieve that information from that document very accurately, like to pinpoint precision. Then I don't think we have an issue of like solving this problem even with like a limited context window. But I don't think that will happen anytime soon, just because of all the limitations that come in terms of building knowledge graphs with such different data sets. So quite a bit of a problem to like solve it right now. Notebook LM is not really the solution at all. Like they're not even remotely close. And ChatGPT might be, Claude might be a bit of a solution to it with a RAG pipeline. You would rather be building one locally yourself. So right now you can build something that sort of works, sort of, but to build something that like properly works, either we do solve recursive learning by models, or we increase the context window to 1 billion tokens. Those are the only two ways right now in the current scheme of things. I hope this was useful. I don't know. How long was this? Was this an hour? I think that was an hour. 30 minutes. It was not too bad. Well, 30 minutes should be more than enough for today.